On this edition of Talk Rodeo, we're catching up with a young man that definitely has a name that is synonymous with the sport of rodeo, and he's carving his own niche quite well in the bull riding. We're talking about, of course, bull rider Josh Frost, setting number 3 in the world right now in the PRCA standings. And I'll tell you what, Josh, looking at how things have went for you 2021 season, you've had a really good season so far. Anything that you've been going to, especially those big ones, it's been paying off for you.
Yeah, it's been going really good. We've been drawing good bulls, getting quite a few of them rode, and looking forward for the summer to take off and to get to a bunch more.
You know, and we know that, coming off of into 2021, we lost some of the big rodeos like Fort Worth and Denver and, some of those Houston. So when you have these rodeos in the wintertime, you got to make them count, and you definitely did that. I mean, you won Odessa, you took the Extreme Bulls in Rapid City. I believe you also at Perry, Georgia. So it's really important when you don't have those big rodeos to get that early start so you can have that good base to work on when we hit this busy time.
Oh, yeah. It was with how many rodeos got canceled in 2020 and with what they'd started canceling early here in 21, I'd said if they're having them, I'm going. So I went to pretty much every rodeo that I can make to from October up through even now. We're not letting up, but it was said everybody was complaining because there wasn't any rodeos to go to in 2020. So I wasn't going to be making the mistake coming September and wishing I had a few more. So
we're talking with PRCA bull rider Josh Frost, setting number 3 in the world standings right now. And a couple years ago, Josh, of course, a lot of people know you suffered a tremendous injury when you got stepped on, put you out, long recovery, then you were able to get back on. First couple bulls a little shaky, but then you were able to get things back on track.
It was a little bit right off bat, just from the way I got hung up. First 2 or 3 practice bulls back, I got on. It seemed like if it was, if I went to go belly up, I was like, okay, I need to pull my tail. But when you're climbing on a bull, you can't be worried about getting hurt or you've already lost the battle. So
and really it only takes a couple of bulls like that, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, I'm good, let's just go out and do what we've been doing.
Oh yeah, I mean there's always a risk of injury riding bulls, and you go in knowing that. But it was having that injury, there never once did I think that I didn't want to be a bull rider. I was just looking for when was the next one, when was they going to be back, what I needed to do to come back stronger than I was before. It was, I guess, kind of a gut check. It would have been real easy to say, man, I thought that was fun. I think I'm going to find a new job. That never crossed my mind. I was mad that I got stepped on and was ready to come back stronger than before.
Well, we're joined by Josh Frost here on Talk Rodeo Hotline, bull rider PRCA. Been to 1 national finals rodeo, and if everything goes right, heading back to his second one. And as we're into the month of June now, Josh, and we get ready to head towards the latter part of June and, of course, Cowboy Christmas. Give me an idea. First of all, who are you traveling with? And then also kind of how are you trying to set up your schedule after we get towards the end of June and through that busy time of the 4th of July?
So I actually just started entering with Sage Kinsey and Tyler Bingham here coming Reno. And so this will be the first time in 2 or 3 years that, honestly, since my brother hasn't been going, that I won't be entering myself because Sage is going to be doing the entering. But so the last 2 weeks here in June, I've actually entered quite a few circuit rodeos and been entering the calf rope and steer wrestling, trying to get some money won in those events. And then come, like I said, what is it, next week's when we take off for Reno's Extreme. And said if we're pretty much going to everyone they're having, and they've got a bunch of money at it, we're going to be there.
Well, and how nice is that to have a 6-time world champion in there doing the entering for you, because we know he knows how to set it up right to make those runs count.
Oh yeah, exactly. And we've been really blessed, man. He'd even said the first time for him too, man, over the 4th we've been getting, actually came together. We've been getting our preferences everywhere we want to go, and so it's looking pretty smooth for the 4th run. So, and
explain to people who aren't familiar with that, when you say been getting your preference, explain what you're talking about there, Josh.
So like at all the rodeos we go to, you have to preference for which day you want to go. So we get our list of rodeos, and there's 45, 50 rodeos going on over the nation over the 4th of July, and 45, 50 rodeos going on all over, and then we kind of put a run together. Well, you're not guaranteed to get up the day that you want. It's kind of, we're guaranteed to get into the rodeo because we have the qualifications, but they call it a priority list, and every rodeo they do a random draw, and so depending on how you hit on that priority list will depend on what day you get up. And so we've been hitting pretty good and been getting them everywhere, so makes it a lot easier for travel plans when it comes together like that.
Well, we're talking with bull rider Josh Frost here on Talk Rodeo, getting ready for the big summer run. But what a lot of people who don't know, but I know you and I know your other half pretty well, is that not only are you trying to plan out a rodeo and everything, but you guys got some wedding plans coming up. When is your guys' wedding coming up, and how's those plans going?
Going pretty good. We're October 2nd the date, so season gets over on September 30th, and I got to be getting back to Utah for a wedding. But it's actually going really good. We just got some good news from her. Her family's from Canada, and so it's kind of been hard for them to get down here because of Canada's still a little more shut down than us. But it kind of sounds like things are opening up, and her mom and aunt and both got their flights. Pretty excited.
Well, and the nice thing is, too, by the time you go to the national finals in December, you're going to be going as a married man. So it gives you a completely different perspective on things, doesn't it?
Yep.
Well, and you talked about it here a minute ago, too. Family is important to you, as we know. But, of course, your brother announced here recently that he was retiring from bull riding. Did you and Joe talk about this before he really made the announcement? And did he kind of tell you what his plans were?
Oh, yeah. Well, he technically made the announcement a year before he released the article. He knew he'd been done. He just didn't know how to announce it. So me and my dad have been telling for a year everywhere I went. We're like, "Where's Joe? What's he doing?" I'm like, "Oh, have to tell the story." And he told us we could tell. He'd been telling people too, but he just hadn't released it to the world. And so, but it was like said, I don't know if anybody read the article. It was more of a health reason. He got the blood clot. It was the third time he got a blood clot and had to stay on blood thinners. And if he'd went off, the specialist had told him if he went off blood thinners, there was 50-50 chance he might just clot right back up. And so it was kind of not worth it. Loved riding bulls, but not enough to die doing so.
Well, we're joined by Josh Frost here on the Talk Rodeo Hotline, PRCA bull rider. And of course, last year, Josh, you didn't qualify for the national finals. We had it in Arlington. Looks like we're going to be going back to Vegas. 2 years ago when you went to Las Vegas, didn't quite go the way you wanted it to go. So going this year, a little bit of redemption for you this year, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, leaving there, having things go pretty much, wouldn't say worst case scenario because the guy could always get injured. I left there healthy, so that was a blessing. But, not performing how I wanted, man, we learned a lot from it. Made me hungry to get back to it. Like I said, it's been looking good this year, and it was not going to be my legacy at the Thomas and Mack not staying on any bulls. We're going back in 2021 and coming out of there with the gold buckle. So.
And how much do you think that will give you some determination of how things went the first time, but giving you a little bit more experience to know how that whole thing works out there at the Thomas and Mack?
Oh yeah, it helps a lot being there once, just not knowing what to expect. It's learn from it and gonna know the scenario, the atmosphere, and types of bulls was a big part of it. It was they don't give you an easy bull at the NFR. That was one thing I learned. I remember thinking when it was going rough, getting to that one pen, which is supposed to be the easier bulls. They weren't any. They were a little bit easier, but if you aren't doing things right, you're not going to ride very many up there. So.
Well, we're joined by Josh Frost here on Talk Rodeo, and I know you're out on the road, so I won't keep you much longer. But earlier in the interview, you talked about it that not only you're in the bull riding, but you're in the steer wrestling and the tie down roping. You're a Lindemann Award winner. How important is that award to know that you've competed and won money in several disciplines, and to have your name associated with that great award in memory of Bill Lindemann?
Oh, it's a great goal of mine. I like to think of myself as a cowboy, not just a bull rider. And I spend a lot of time. I ranch the house and spend a lot of time roping calves. Don't steer wrestle as much, but I always make it like a big goal of mine. I hadn't even entered the steer wrestling since 2019 until this coming week. I've been practicing, but excited to be entered up. And I got into two rodeos in the calf roping last week, and actually ended up first one I roped out. I ended up winning it. So calf roping started off pretty good, and I'm excited to get some more up. So
well, stay healthy out there. Tell your bride to be Erica hi for me, and I'm sure I'll see you down the road sometime. But most of all, stay healthy out there, and we'll just see you somewhere down the road here coming up this summer.
Will do. Thanks, Derek.